Unaware his pregnant wife is the lost daughter of a multi-billionaire, Derek Castellano leaned out of his car window, laughing hysterically with his mistress Sienna, after deliberately splashing mud water all over Charlotte, watching her stand there crying on that dusty road, her yellow dress soaked through, her hands clutching her 6-month pregnant belly in shock and humiliation. "Look at her," Sienna cackled from the passenger seat, filming the whole thing on her phone. "Still dressing like she shops at thrift stores. God, Derek, how did you ever marry someone so pathetic?" Derek's face was pure cruelty, pure satisfaction, like he'd just won the greatest victory of his life as he shouted, "That's all you'll ever be, Charlotte. Poor, worthless nobody. You should have gotten rid of that baby when I told you to." But what Derek and his mistress didn't know, what they couldn't see through their laughter and arrogance, was that the pregnant woman standing there covered in mud water, crying on the side of that road, wasn't some nobody waitress with no family. Charlotte was Charlotte Victoria Thornton, the 3-year-old heiress kidnapped from Central Park 25 years ago, the only daughter of Victor Thornton, the self-made billionaire worth $24 billion who'd never stopped searching for her. And when Sienna's cruel video went viral with 15 million views, when Victor Thornton's security team ran facial recognition on the woman his daughter's husband just humiliated, what happened in the next 72 hours didn't just devastate Derek and his mistress, it destroyed them in ways that proved money isn't just power. It's the ability to erase people who hurt your family from existence. But here's what will leave you absolutely shattered. How did a billionaire's daughter end up married to a man who treated her like garbage without ever knowing who she really was? What did Derek see in his rearview mirror after splashing mud water on his pregnant wife that made him realize he'd made a fatal mistake? And when Victor Thornton discovered the woman covered in mud was his long-lost daughter carrying his first grandchild while married to her abuser, what did he do that left Derek and Sienna's lives in ruins before the sun even set? Stay with me, because the moment Derek and his mistress drove away still laughing, they had no idea that the security cameras on that road had captured everything, and that footage was about to land on the desk of the one man in America who could destroy them with a single phone call. Charlotte stood there alone, mud dripping from her hair, her grocery bags ruined, and for the first time in her marriage, she wasn't crying because Derek hurt her. She was crying because she finally realized she deserved better. The mud was cold against her skin, seeping through her yellow dress, the dress she'd bought at a thrift store 3 years ago, the dress Derek always mocked, the dress she wore anyway because it was the only thing that still fit over her growing belly. Her hands trembled as she tried to wipe the muddy water from her face, but it just smeared, making everything worse. People were staring. A woman in a parked car looked horrified. A teenager with a phone was definitely filming. Charlotte wanted to disappear, to sink into the ground and never be seen again, but she couldn't move. Her legs felt like concrete. All she could do was stand there, feeling the baby kick inside her, strong, insistent, alive, and think, "This is my life. This is what I've become. A punching bag for a man who doesn't love me, a joke to his mistress, a nobody with no family, no money, no escape." But Charlotte didn't know that 25 years ago, her name wasn't Charlotte Hayes. She didn't know that the woman who raised her, Margaret Hayes, the woman Charlotte called Mom, wasn't her real mother at all. Margaret Hayes had been a grieving woman who lost her own 3-year-old daughter, Emily, to leukemia in 1998. The grief destroyed her sanity. One day, while walking through Central Park in Manhattan trying to process her pain, Margaret saw a little girl with blonde curls playing near a fountain while her nanny was distracted by a phone call. The little girl looked exactly like Emily. Same age, same hair, same smile, and something inside Margaret's broken mind whispered, "That's your daughter. Emily came back. Take her home." Margaret took the child's hand and walked away. No one noticed for 7 minutes. By then they were in a cab heading to Port Authority. By that night, they were on a bus to rural Montana. The nanny was fired. The parents, Victor and Catherine Thornton, were destroyed. The NYPD launched the biggest missing child investigation in the city's history. But Margaret Hayes had been careful. She'd paid cash for everything. Changed her name. Moved to a tiny town called Timber Falls, Montana, population 200, where nobody asked questions. She raised Charlotte in a small house on the edge of town, homeschooled her until age 12, then let her attend the local public school. Margaret told Charlotte that her father had abandoned them, that they had to stay hidden, that the world was dangerous. Charlotte believed every word because Margaret was all she had. When Margaret died of a heart attack when Charlotte was 18, Charlotte was left completely alone with $3,000 in savings and no idea who she really was. She moved to Seattle looking for work, for a fresh start, for something more than the tiny town that felt like a cage. That's where she met Derek Castellano. He was 34, successful, confident, charming. He walked into the diner where Charlotte was working and looked at her like she was the most beautiful woman in the world. For someone who'd never had a family, never felt wanted, never been told she mattered, Derek's attention was intoxicating. He pursued her relentlessly. Flowers, dinners, promises. "You're special, Charlotte. You deserve everything. I'm going to take care of you." They were married within 6 months. Charlotte thought she'd finally found her family, but the charm disappeared fast. By the second year, Derek was criticizing everything: her clothes, her job, her cooking, her friends. By year 3, he was having an affair with Sienna, a luxury real estate broker who made Derek feel like he'd finally made it into elite circles. When Charlotte got pregnant, Derek demanded she get an abortion. "We can't afford a kid. You'll ruin my business. You'll trap me in mediocrity." Charlotte refused. It was the first time she'd ever said no to him, and Derek made her pay for it every single day after. The abuse escalated. Not physical, but verbal, psychological, designed to break her spirit without leaving marks. He controlled the money, isolated her from the few friends she had, told her she was worthless, ugly, a burden, and Charlotte, who'd spent her whole life believing she was unwanted, started believing him. Until today. Until she stood on this road covered in mud, 6 months pregnant, publicly humiliated, and something inside her just broke. Not her spirit, her fear. Charlotte pulled her phone from her pocket with shaking hands. The screen was cracked, muddy, but it still worked. She called the one person who'd been kind to her at the diner, her manager, Maria. "Maria, can you come get me? Something happened." 20 minutes later, Maria pulled up in her old Honda, took one look at Charlotte, and said, "Oh, honey, what did he do?" Charlotte got in the car, and for the first time in 4 years, she said the words out loud. "I'm leaving him. I don't care if I have nowhere to go. I'm leaving." But what Charlotte didn't know was that at that exact moment, 2,000 miles away in Manhattan, a man named Marcus Webb, head of security for Thornton Global Industries, was sitting in his office monitoring social media threats when an algorithm flagged a viral video. The caption, "When your man's pathetic ex gets what she deserves." Marcus almost scrolled past it. He saw thousands of these cruel videos every day, but something about the woman's face stopped him cold. He clicked, watched Derek splash mud on Charlotte, watched her cry, watched her protect her pregnant belly. And then Marcus zoomed in on her face, the bone structure, the eyes, the way she held herself even in humiliation. Marcus had been working the Charlotte Victoria Thornton case for 15 years. He'd memorized every age-progressed photo, every possible variation of what she might look like now. And this woman, this pregnant woman in a muddy yellow dress, matched every marker. Marcus ran facial recognition software, compared Charlotte Hayes to the missing 3-year-old from 1998. The computer calculated 98.7% match. Marcus's hands started shaking. He picked up his phone and called the only number that mattered. "Mr. Thornton, sir, I think I found her. I found Charlotte." Victor Thornton was 78 years old and hadn't cried in a decade. Not since his wife Catherine died of grief 10 years ago, her heart literally giving out from the pain of losing their daughter. But when Marcus Webb sent him the video, when Victor saw that woman standing in the mud protecting her pregnant belly, when he saw her face, his daughter's face, 25 years older but unmistakably hers, he broke down sobbing in his office on the 52nd floor of Thornton Tower. His assistant knocked, concerned, but Victor waved her away. For 2 hours, he watched the video on repeat, studying every detail. Charlotte's mannerisms, the way she touched her stomach, the devastation in her eyes, the cruelty in that man's voice. Victor called Marcus back. "Are you absolutely certain?" "DNA will confirm, but facial recognition is 98.7%. Sir, that's your daughter." "Where is she now?" "Seattle. Still married to Derek Castellano, owner of Castellano Commercial Properties, net worth approximately $8 million. We're running full background on him and the woman in the car, Sienna, his mistress." Victor's grief transformed into something cold and surgical. "I want everything: his business holdings, his debts, his contracts, his mistress's financials, everything. And Marcus, I want to know within the hour if my daughter is safe." Marcus worked fast. Within 30 minutes, he had Charlotte's address, her work history, her medical records showing regular ER visits for accidents, a broken wrist, bruised ribs, stress-induced complications with her pregnancy. Victor's hands clenched into fists. He's been hurting her. It appears so, sir. Send a team, bring her home, tonight. Sir, we should verify DNA first. Approach carefully. That's my daughter. Victor's voice cracked. I've spent 25 years searching for her. I'm not waiting another second. But Victor forced himself to take a breath. Marcus was right. They needed to be careful. Charlotte didn't know who she was. Approaching her wrong could traumatize her further. Fine. Verify her location. Keep surveillance on her. But Marcus, start destroying him. I want Derek Castellano's entire world gone by morning. Meanwhile, Derek was celebrating. He and Sienna were at an expensive restaurant in downtown Seattle, laughing about the video that now had 20 million views. Did you see her face? Sienna giggled, scrolling through comments. People are calling her pathetic. Derek raised his wine glass. To freedom. Once she signs the divorce papers, we're done. His phone rang. His business partner, Tom. Derek, we have a problem. Thornton Global just pulled out of the Harbor District deal. $300 million. Gone. Derek's smile faltered. What? Why? No explanation. Just a notice that they're terminating effective immediately. That's impossible. We had a signed contract. Apparently there's a clause. They invoked it. Derek, without Thornton backing, the banks won't fund us. This could collapse everything. Derek hung up, his mind racing. Thornton Global. Why would they suddenly pull out? Then his phone rang again. His lawyer. Then his accountant. Then 3 different creditors. Within an hour, Derek's entire business empire was crumbling, and he had no idea why. Across town, Charlotte was packing a small suitcase in the apartment she'd shared with Derek, her hands steady for the first time in years. She was leaving tonight. She didn't know where she'd go, but anywhere was better than here. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Charlotte Hayes? The voice was professional, kind. My name is Marcus Webb. I work for Thornton Global Industries. I need to speak with you about something very important. It's about your family, your real family. Charlotte stood in her small apartment, phone pressed to her ear, her packed suitcase at her feet, listening to Marcus Webb say words that didn't make sense. Your real family? I don't have family. My mother died 6 years ago. Marcus's voice was gentle but firm. Charlotte, the woman who raised you wasn't your biological mother. Her name was Margaret Hayes. She kidnapped you from Central Park in Manhattan when you were 3 years old. Your real name is Charlotte Victoria Thornton. Your father is Victor Thornton. He's been searching for you for 25 years. Charlotte's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the floor, her pregnant belly making it awkward, her mind spinning. That's impossible. You have the wrong person. We don't. We've run facial recognition. We've verified records. Charlotte, your father saw the video of what your husband did to you today. He knows you're alive, and he wants to bring you home. Charlotte's hands started shaking. This is a scam. Billionaires don't just. Your father will meet you anywhere you want. Tomorrow. Tonight. Right now if you'll allow it. He just wants to see you. To know you're safe. Charlotte hung up. Her heart was pounding. This was insane. Impossible. But 15 minutes later, her phone rang again. This time, the voice was different, older, shaking with emotion. Charlotte, my name is Victor Thornton, and I am your father. For the next hour, Victor told her everything. About the kidnapping, about the investigation, about her mother Catherine, who died of grief, about the birthmark on her left shoulder blade that Charlotte had always had but never questioned, about the life she was supposed to have. Charlotte cried. Victor cried. And when he asked if he could send a car to bring her somewhere safe, somewhere Derek could never hurt her again, Charlotte said yes. By morning, Derek's world had completely collapsed. Every contract terminated, every loan called in, every business partner abandoning ship. His $8 million empire reduced to nothing in 12 hours. The media was calling it the fastest corporate destruction in Seattle history. And Derek still didn't understand why, until a black SUV pulled up to his office building and 2 men in suits walked in. Derek Castellano, we're with Thornton Global Legal Team. You've been served. Derek stared at the lawsuit. $500 million in damages for assault, emotional distress, and endangerment of Victor Thornton's daughter and unborn grandchild. What daughter? Then he saw the name. Charlotte Victoria Thornton, his wife. His nobody wife was Victor Thornton's missing daughter. Derek's face went white. Everything clicked into place. The sudden business collapse, the terminated contracts, the legal assault. He hadn't just humiliated some random waitress. He'd humiliated the daughter of the most powerful man in America. And that man was destroying him. Sienna found out an hour later when her own career imploded, every luxury client suddenly canceling, her firm firing her for conduct unbecoming, her face plastered across social media as the mistress who laughed while a billionaire's daughter was abused. Within a week, Derek declared bankruptcy. Sienna moved back to Connecticut, unemployed and blacklisted. The viral video that was supposed to mock Charlotte became evidence in a criminal case. And Charlotte stood in a hospital room at Manhattan Presbyterian, hooked up to monitors, surrounded by the best obstetricians money could buy, with Victor Thornton holding her hand as doctors confirmed what they already knew. She was exactly who Marcus said she was. DNA match, 99.99%. "I lost you once," Victor said, tears streaming down his weathered face. "I won't lose you again. You and this baby are my entire world now." Charlotte looked at her father, this stranger who was her family, and felt something she'd never experienced in her 28 years. She felt safe. 3 months later, Charlotte gave birth to a healthy baby girl. She named her Catherine, after the grandmother who'd died searching for her. Derek tried to claim parental rights. Victor's lawyers buried him in paperwork. Derek never saw the child. Within a year, Charlotte was living in the Thornton family estate, learning the business, discovering she had a natural talent for strategic planning. Her father's empire would one day be hers. Within 2 years, she'd started her own foundation, helping kidnapped children reunite with their families, funding investigations, supporting survivors. The viral video that was meant to destroy her became the catalyst for her finding herself. Derek Castellano ended up working as a property manager in Spokane, making $47,000 a year, living in a studio apartment completely alone. Sienna Moretti never recovered her career. And every time they saw Charlotte's face on magazine covers, the billionaire's daughter, from kidnapped victim to empire heir, they were reminded that cruelty doesn't just come back around. Sometimes it brings an empire with it. Charlotte never spoke Derek again. She didn't need to. The last time she thought about him was when her daughter Catherine asked, "Mommy, why are you crying?" Charlotte was looking at a photo of herself at age 3 with her real parents, the last photo taken before the kidnapping. "Because I'm grateful, baby. Because I got lost, but I was found. And because some people spend their whole lives searching for family while others destroy the family they have." The Bible says in Proverbs 11:17, "Those who are kind benefit themselves, but the cruel bring ruin on themselves." Derek brought ruin. Charlotte brought kindness. And in the end, the woman he called worthless inherited $24 billion, while the man who called her nobody became exactly that, nobody worth remembering. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that your worth isn't defined by how others treat you, that cruelty always faces consequences, and that sometimes the people we underestimate are exactly the ones destiny chose to rise, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss stories that prove character matters more than circumstances. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from, and share this with someone who needs to hear that being lost doesn't mean you'll stay lost forever. Sometimes you just need to survive long enough for your real family to find you. God bless you.